Ian,
Greastable.
today,
Whatever.
we have checked out a new and upcoming movie, Ian. How exciting is that? Shudder was nice enough to send us the upcoming movie, Slaxx. The first time I looked this movie up, I assumed it was SLAXXX. I don't know, probably because
That would lead to different assumptions about what this movie would be.
I found a weird niche of something that I'm not saying. Let's move on. Anyways, Shudder sent us the movie Slaxx. Comes out on Thursday, 19th, something like that. March 19th, something. So it's a movie about killer pants.
Yeah. It's a dark comedy.
A dark comedy.
Retail horror.
Retail horror. I'm repeating you. I'm your hype man.
Yep.
Anything else in there with that?
Nah.
I mean, we can get into some of the story.
We've told you enough to get a sense of what this is.
There is enough there. So what did you think, I guess?
Why are you going to start out with such a difficult question? I really wanted to like this.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm on board for this sort of thing. I like a dark comedy.
It's a fun idea.
horror.
It's a fun idea.
It's a very fun idea. And you'd think, if I were to tell you this idea and I were to tell you it didn't quite work, you'd think, oh, well, the effects were probably real corny.
Oh.
But they actually worked pretty well.
They worked really well.
The pants effects were excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought all that, like, even if you just took visuals from this movie, the kills and the gory aftermaths are fun.
Aftermath's keyword there.
Yes, but I mean, feels low budgety in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of creativeness to this movie and a lot of zaniness to some of this movie. I might say maybe not enough because
So I would say where this movie didn't quite work for me as well as it could have was that it wasn't comedic enough. Like, I think they were real banking on being a little over the top, being funny.
Well,
but it was being over the top in a way that kind of made it, I don't want to call it unrealistic because it's a movie. It shouldn't necessarily be overly realistic. But like, it just like, I don't know, it just didn't work for me.
I think the problem that you're describing is that the movie is in a battle within itself insofar as the idea is ridiculous and over the top.
Yeah.
And then the introduction of the movie with introducing all the characters and they're all archetypes of like ridiculous people.
Like over the top, like retail,
yeah,
clothing,
and
high end.
That stuff all goes and works together with me.
Yeah.
But then the movie shifts into this thematic thing where they're exploring capitalism and the naivete of like people who buy products.
But more so like the people who are pushing it on them. Which is fine. I'm good with all that.
And the exploitation of children and work labor.
There was an over-the-topness to how serious people were taking like that corporate retail world in ways that just weren't realistic. I would almost suspect that the person who wrote this didn't work in that way
I agree
before.
that stuff's not realistic, but I would have been okay with that if it would have been funny and fun the whole time because that would have went in line with that. But when it starts to get serious, it doesn't work.
The humor should be over the top.
Yeah.
The horror should be over the top. But I want the other part of the movie to be a little bit more grounded. Like the way the employees interact with each other, like it's a shitty job. And they're kind of playing on like the Office Space type of shitty job kind of vibe that a decent number of movies do and is common for a dark comedy. But like usually in a shitty job, the employees all kind of come together and kind of complain about the boss. But here they're just all shitty to each other. Like the lead actress, she goes to purchase some goods because she's starting, let's mention a little bit of the story. Young idealistic girl who's really all about the brand, likes the clothing, likes their eco-friendliness. She goes to buy some clothes so she can fit in and be wearing the company's clothes on her first day. But it's technically the day before she starts.
So they make her
and the guy ringing her up, who's not the manager or anything, he's just another employee. Yeah, but you don't start till tomorrow, so sorry you don't get it. Just being a dick. Like that's kind of like hey, we're on the end. Like I'll take care of you. Like that's usually what happens in shitty jobs.
Yeah, every character is bad except for the main one.
And that would have grounded the movie a little bit more.
I mean, and that is a very important plot point where this main character is naive to this world. She believes the corporate message so far as they're doing good for the world. Their workers aren't being exploited. They're not harming the earth in the creation of their product, which is all a lie.
We come to find out.
Spoilers. I mean, that's not really a spoiler. Like that's the movie, and it's set up the first 5 minutes. But to me, the problem is I like the elements where This is actually a study on, and you can ground it in a retail store like this that everybody's familiar with. This is actually showing you, well, there's all a bunch of bad stuff behind the scenes here. And you're not getting any of that. You're just buying jeans.
Yeah.
And you only care about the jeans and how they look on your ass than any of the horrible stuff that goes into the creation. That's actually, I like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work in this movie because it's so goddamn serious. And the beginning of the movie is so zany and over the top and not serious with any of its characters or anything.
And all the characters are so like cartoonishly bad.
There's no depth to any of them.
Like you almost want them to be overly sweet and overly nice, and then come to find out they have a dark side. You know?
Maybe. But that theme I'm describing is very realistic and grounded, and nothing else is in this movie. And then by the end, it leaves on a very dour note that totally
kind of the note you want it to end on, though.
I don't
like,
know. I'd say
the corporate world chews up and spits out that idealism. If you're trying to stick to the message of what you're going for here.
True.
So the ending worked for me, as far as the movie worked for me.
Yeah, I mean the ending is a capper on the whole thing, where it's like, actually, this isn't fun.
Yeah.
And the whole time you're in this movie, you're like, Slaxx, and it's a picture of a girl's ass in jeans, and it's a ridiculous 80s font, and you're like, and there's killer jeans, you're like, yes, this is going to be super fun, and it starts out, and it's that tone, and then the movie's like, actually, it's not fun at all, and this is just depressing.
Yeah. That's kind of what it's billed as a dark comedy, though.
True,
like,
but it doesn't...
I guess, for me, the one thing I would have liked to have seen if I was going to change this is that, like, the gold standard for dark comedies for me is Death to Smoochie. And this movie doesn't have that Sheldon character that's just so innocent and so, but like, and you kind of do have that, but she's not enough the central motivator. Like she's missing for large chunks of the movie.
She is missing, but I don't, like I get what you're saying, dark comedy.
She's not strong enough of a character.
But there's no sense of humor at the end. It's not in any, it's not dark comedy, it's just not comedy.
Yeah. I think they're, like I said, they think the situations are so over the top that that's funny, but I don't know, there's no jokes.
There's no jokes.
No. Because it served to take me out of the movie more than it helped ground the movie, it just didn't work for me. Like the over-the-topness of Death to Smoochie really works.
Yes,
but I don't think it did
agree.
here.
No, I agree. I do want to talk about some other things, but it's going to be some light spoilers. We might even spoil more. So this movie is out on Thursday on Shudder. If you have a Shudder account, there is a lot of positives to this thing. I know we sound like we're shitting all over it, but the pants and the pants sequences are fun and crazy. And there's a cool kills in this movie. Most of the being off screen.
Yeah,
you see the
a little more
gory
than I'd like.
aftermath.
It kind of felt a little bit like, what was that line of Hulu original movies that they were doing? Like After
the Dark or whatever.
Something like that. Felt like it belonged in
It's
there.
a budgety thing. But, you know, I really did like the setting.
Yeah, setting worked.
Like it was cool, and it's also
it felt like if you told me, oh yeah, Canadian Clothiers Company or whatever it was called. Did I get that right?
But it
Canadian
also,
Cotton Clothiers. It was a real store up there. I'm like, yeah, I guess I kind of believe it.
But it's also a setting I feel like works for people our age who used to go to the mall, and now that's like becoming a pastime. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but there's still like outlets
still some of those
and
kind
things
of
like
stores
that still exist for sure.
The other thing before we get into spoilers is character motivations in this movie make absolutely no sense. Like literally. The guy,
they make enough sense.
They make sense on paper. This guy wants to get a promotion, so
manager.
he'll go to whatever means.
Yeah, that works.
And like covering up as many murders and supernatural things, it's like ridiculous. But okay. Spoilery. This is one of the things I have with this movie, is they mention how like, oh, this is child labor exploitation or something.
Sure.
But then they showed the actual woman and how she dies, and there's no like, it's just like her walking around in a nice area with a nice
woman
basket,
in the country where the cotton is sourced,
and she accidentally dies.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a travesty. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't know enough. Is my point.
So you might argue that there should have been greater precautions, but you don't know that somebody specifically chose not to employ better precautions. Like you almost want to see the scene where, like, here's the safety feature. Let's not do that. That costs
exactly.
money.
I want to see the dark nature, because what I saw wasn't that bad. Like I'm not.
The death is tragic for sure.
Yeah, I'm not justifying.
It's not clear whose fault that is.
Right. And it made it seem like because it's this woman brought back in these jeans, she feels like she was wronged in a lot of ways. But it's like, maybe you should go and kill the people who made that machine because they didn't put safety guards on or something. Yeah. It doesn't, like, no one pushed you into the machine, your thing got caught and you got pulled in. So it doesn't feel, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I get the overall thing. Obviously, there's sweatshops in all your clothes generally.
Yeah.
There's some sort of exploitation, so I
I
understand
think
that.
for me, I'm less concerned about that and more. I wanted some sort of mythology to help shape it out. Like,
You got the sign.
are the pants like a dybbuk? There's like a dybbuk
Yeah,
within the pants,
yeah.
or like some kind of Indian cultural, horror idea that I'm not familiar with. But there's kind of really nothing.
They only play up that Indian aspect because the one character has ancestry from there.
Yeah,
But she's
working at the store.
She's an American. She's born in America, and the genes are from there, and this woman died from there.
Yeah.
But there's no.
I like the little bit of like color it added to the.
It added
story.
some cool tone. Like when
Yeah.
you got back,
It made
into
it a
those
little bit more
scenes,
unique,
You had
yeah.
this cool music that was
Yeah.
very, it felt very like ethnic in that way. Like I don't.
Yeah.
And I like that stuff, but you're right. I wish it would have brought some of that culture then, or something
Yeah.
from that. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
But it's unexplained except for a sign that says experimental field or something.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, I guess this.
But you don't even know specifically what was different about what they did to make
No.
it experimental.
But it does give you the visual of her blood going into the con, and literally the clothes you're wearing is made from the blood
Yeah.
of somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's a good
Yeah.
symbolism there.
It got 90% of the way there, but I really wanted that 10%.
Yeah. I didn't dislike this movie. I think my problem is I'm just so frustrated because it could have been so good. I think.
Yeah. I think I did myself a disservice. Like, you literally texted me about this movie the day I finished listening to a book called Horror Store about a fictional fake version of an IKEA
Okay.
with similar kind of retail horror overtones. That there's like a ghost there and like haunting the people and killing them overnight.
So you were
And it was like, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm already like, now I have to compare this to a really good thing. And I was thinking of how cinematic this thing would be. And then you text me, it's like, this is hilarious. I was just, literally listening to Retail Horror Story earlier this day. So my recommendation is to check out Horror Store by Gary something?
Gary
I
something.
forgot his
Look
name.
him up.
Gary something.
But just to put a cap.
Grady, not Gary.
Put
Grady.
a capper on this thing. If you have a Shudder subscription, I think it might be worth checking out. But
Yeah.
go into it expecting not the complete balls out zany fun comedy horror that you think it might be.
Yeah.
But there is tons of positives. The production values are really
Yeah. Looks great.
good. This girl, I am old as fuck apparently, because I was
Why?
like, is this girl even old enough to drive? She's like 13 years old.
No, not 13, but she was probably
Maybe 15 or something?
I would
I'm
say
like-
16 to 18 is where I would have
Like,
guessed.
my God, I'm old. Like,
You didn't have a job in high school? You didn't, or at least see kids working at the mall
back
in high
then,
school?
I had to walk uphill both ways to get to my job, Ian. Working at the old tannery or something. I don't know. No, I just thought like, wow, she's
I worked
very
in a
young.
retail store in high school.
I worked at an old folks home, cooking food.
I worked in a hardware store, so it's basically,
Yeah.
dealing with the same customers.
Slaxx.
I will say, I'm so afraid after watching this movie. I'm not even wearing pants right now.
It's true. It's
Chris,
true.
apparently not afraid. He's wearing pants.
It is cold in here too. Just pointing that out for no particular reason. All right, that's gonna do it for Slaxx, guys. We will catch you here next time. Goodbye.